Hi, I'm Caitlin Odell, and today I'm going to be talking about China's pollution issue. Now, first off, I wanted to discuss why I chose this topic. So, the reason for it was because I would always see on social media people just walking on the streets of China wearing surgical masks. And I always wondered if that was necessary or if that was something that people chose to do out of fear in what they were hearing and reading. And those questions were answered in my research, so I will get into that further. So first off, I want to share some fun facts about China. So it has a population of 1.386 billion people, which I didn't know this, but it's more than India. And I always thought India was most populated, but China is, which makes it an even bigger issue because it's affecting a lot more people. It's located in Southeast Asia. And to discuss the pollution issue, so this all started in 1980, around there. And that's really when China's industrialization really took off. And they started to produce a lot more goods, and they were shipping them out to other countries, which I'm sure if you look at your shirt that you're wearing right now, it's from China. So to begin, this kind of all started with urbanization. Now, urbanization causes population migration. This usually happens in rapidly developing low and mid-income countries such as China. And this is important because usually in high-income countries such as the United States, you're able to slow down the development of industrialization and take a look at the environmental impacts that people are seeing. However, China has not stopped developing, so this pollution has just increased and increased and increased. This also leads to the cause of environmental issues. And the reason why China really hasn't been focusing on that until like the past few years is because industrialization changes the way people live. It increases the living standard and the materials people are getting. So that's why the environmental impacts are sort of overlooked. The first pollutant I want to look at is PM. Now, this is one of the biggest studies that I have found in my research. Everybody's talking about PM. Now, this stands for particulate matter. It's smaller than, as you can see in my picture, it's smaller than a piece of hair, a piece of sand. And what happens is you breathe those in and they irritate your lungs. Now, this causes 28,000 premature deaths per year in China. It can also cause chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lung cancer, and even acute lower respiratory infections. And this is also increased with pollutant emissions. About 723 million people are being exposed, and that is in 2014. So as you can imagine, that has only increased. And this also is being seen with coal emissions and also household dust. So people are actually seeing this matter that they're breathing in just in their households. And they were found to be increased around 2010. And it's also, there's higher amounts of PM in East and Central China. So the next thing I want to talk about was Hong Kong. So as you can see, it's located in the South China. Now it is populated with 6.99 million people, and that was only in 2006. Now in 2005, average the PM exceeded acceptable levels recommended by the World Health Organization, and that was in 2005. And so did NO2, nitrogen dioxide. And that has all affected the visibility, which is shown in my picture. And this is one of the biggest reasons for the masks people wear. Also, PM increases the risk of asthma. And I found that 69,000 people were hospitalized in 2005. And those people were ages less than 14. So it's really affecting the youth of the population. And I also found it affected elder people as well. So PM was found to cause harmful pollutants in the airways, as I just discussed. The next thing I want to talk about was soil pollution. Now, there's this one species of tree, which is called the fir tree. It's a subtropical species, It's very nutrient demanding. It's the most important timber tree in China. Now, because it's the most important, it actually takes up 60 to 80% of the total area of timber plantations in southeastern China and 1/3 on a national level. So very important for timber and other things that can help the economy, things being sold. So let's see. It has been planted for more than 1,000 years. So it's very important, and it's definitely being affected from the pollution. So soil acidification is one issue that is affecting these. Now, and pollution in general does not just affect the people, but we're also discussing about the environment and also the economy. So soil acidification, it reduces the volume of the plantation by 25 to 56%. So a very large number. It can cut a plantation right in half. And this is all caused from industrialization, all the fossil fuels being produced. Also, nitrogen deposition also affects the soil, and this lowers carbon pools. And this will create, and carbon is needed for the soil to be nutrient rich. And as I said before, this species needs very nutrient soil. And it creates weak soil, which means that they won't grow as large and you won't get as much timber out of it. Also, in China, they use soil rotation. Now, this is called, I think you pronounce it Swidden agriculture. And because of this, because of the soil being rotated, the rich soil sitting on top, it will become weak soil, and then the rotation will cause it to be seen, the effects will be seen very quickly. This means that further planting can become minimal, and it's a big loss to the economy. They won't be meeting their demands for timber. What else? Also, going back to that slide, this will also affect wildlife. Trees take a while to grow. That means wildlife will start to move in, and not having that habitat can affect the ecosystem in general. So one thing I want to touch on was the lack of environmental protection. So China has been doing better in recent years, but in 1979, there was the first environmental law. Now, this was not supported by their government due to the economic demand. They did not worry about the environment. They were like, we need to get all of our demands met and all of our materials shipped out. Now, recently they put out a revision of this law, and as it was passed successfully, there was a problem with local implementation. So like local farmers and things, they kind of almost didn't care. They were not following this law. And this is very important for civilians' well-being, and without developmental strategies, these problems will only progress. So one recommendation that I have is that there needs to be research sites near ecosystems, such as the fir trees, something where people can research the soil and test the soil. That's the picture I have, is somebody testing soil, and it's important to keep track of how acidic the soil is becoming, and that will also shed light on how much pollution is really affecting their environment. So that is everything that I'm going to be discussing today.